Hey there, CEOs. Thank you so much for joining me for Barter Blacks Today and Black History podcast, where we are spotlighting Black-owned businesses that you need to know. I am here today with CaTyra Polland, accomplished author and national editor and speaker at Love for Words. Hi, CaTyra. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you, Nicole?
I'm amazing.
Good, good. Glad to be here.
Good. Thanks for coming on the podcast with me. So tell me more about Love for Words. We're going to just jump right on in.
For sure. So I started Love for Words in 2017. I have a friend, Ebony Nicole Smith. She's a publisher, and she was looking for an editor because she's also an author. So I did a
Okay.
sample edit of her book, and she was really impressed, and she started referring me to her publishing clients. So I started picking up steam with clients that way, and I decided to launch Love for Words. I've always enjoyed reading and writing. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So starting, the editing business really just came natural. It seemed like the next step in my, writing and editing career. So I just took a leap of faith and launched it and have been at it now. What is this, year 6? I think that's year 6 or 7. So I've been able to help dozens of authors get their manuscripts ready, and I've been able to go to the book signings and promote them on social media. So it's been a very rewarding journey to be able to help others, specifically Black authors, through the self-publishing journey and offer the encouragement and support that we all need, because sometimes it's a struggle to, write and publish your own book.
I'm sure, and I'm sure it's a lot of work.
Yes, yeah.
So, who do you work with in particular? Is it just authors? Is it just for people who have books, or are you copywriting and editing for other things as well?
Yeah, so the primary service we offer is the book editing. And
Okay.
I primarily work with self-published authors, self-published Black authors, who are writing memoirs, self-help, poetry, biographies, autobiographies. I also do fiction as well, but nonfiction is the bulk of, that's the bulk of the projects that I work on. And yes, I also offer copywriting. So sometimes clients, people who have businesses will ask for web copy for their website. They'll ask for maybe for me to proofread a presentation or a report. I've had, people reach out about editing their dissertations. So it's a combination of
Mm.
editing and copywriting. But editing is the heavier emphasis.
Okay, so there's a range of different things that people can contact you for
Absolutely.
as far as editing and copywriting. So
Yeah.
what does the process look like? Someone is watching, they've started writing that book. What's the process when they come to you?
Yeah, so the first step is to go to my website. That's love4words.com. You will see a consultation tab, so you can click that. There's several questions that ask you, the title of your book, how long it is, what's most important to you when it comes to editing, what type of relationship you would like to have with the editor, whether or not you've worked with an editor before, is this your first book, is this in a series, etc. All the important details and information I need to know on my end before we move forward. Once you've completed the online consultation, you'll be prompted to schedule a phone call with me, and we will talk about the consultation you filled out. That consultation also um, includes a section where you can attach a sample of your book. So when we get to the call, I'll already have seen the sample. I can give you my feedback, give you some, some of my recommendations and some of the things that I'm suggesting to you, let you know what type of editing it requires and also the quote. So that's step 2 is the phone call. And then,
Okay.
once we have that phone call, we'll decide, if it's a good fit. Do we want to move forward? Do we want to wait, or do you want to, pursue another, or do we want to pursue another path for you? So just to piggyback off of that, for authors who are new to this, it is a two-way street. So you may have a consultation with the editor who you decide is not a good fit for you. and or the editor may decide you're not a good fit for them. So it's okay if that happens. That's what the book is about. That's what the consultation is for. So don't be to say, I don't think you're the best editor, or don't be offended if the editor says, I don't think you're the best author from my roster. So there's really no need to feel, nervous about that. It's probably done, but the most important part is that you do your due diligence. You don't want to just go on the website and assume that the editor is good for you. Editor is good for you. Make sure you have a follow-up call and communicate to make sure that it is in fact a good fit.
Okay. And is there a particular time on how long it takes? I'm sure it probably depends on how long the book is, but
Yes.
how long it takes to actually edit a book.
Yeah, it varies. So, if it's already been edited and I'm just like the final set of eyes, then it probably wouldn't take as long as if it's the very first draft. Also depends on how long it is. If it's a really thick novel, that would take, longer than a 20-page book of poetry. So again, it just depends on how well it's written, the density of what's written, and how much work it requires, basically what type of editing it requires. So I never give like a general timeline. It all varies. I guess with my projects, I would say between 4 weeks up to a few months, just depends.
Okay. So that means don't come to CaTyra thinking that you're about to get this done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you're rushing, because you didn't set a launch date. And you don't have anybody to edit it yet. Like we gotta, there's a process to this.
Right. But what I will say is if you do have a rush job, that comes with an expedited fee.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's how we handle that.
I'm sure. So what's the process after the editing? Like, how does someone, if someone's thinking about writing a book, like what else goes into it after that process?
Yes. So once clients get their edits back from me, of course, they'll go through, the edits. And if they have additional questions or feedback, they can schedule another follow-up call with me. We'll talk about it. Once they're completely satisfied with, the editing from me, the next step is the copy edit and the proofread. So I primarily focus on developmental and line editing, which is like, does it make sense? Is the plot good to go? Is the setting make sense? Are you using language that resonates with your target market? All of the big picture details. So the next step is for you to work with a copy editor who will focus on like the punctuation and the spelling and grammar, making sure that's good to go. And then the final stage is to proofread, and they'll just catch any last minute typos. Once the proofread is done, then it goes to the publisher.
Okay.
So I work with hybrid publishers, which are basically they're publishers who they perform all of the back end. So they'll put it up on Amazon or whatever platform you're using. They'll do the formatting for you. They'll get the ISBN. They'll do the copyright of the book, all of those things on the back end. And then once that's done, you can start promoting your book once the publishing piece is done. But one of the things that has developed is that a lot of authors are promoting their books through the process. So you don't have to wait until it's completely done. Actually, resell your book. So once you have a book cover, you can, start a pre-sale, and you can be selling books even before it's done publishing.
Right.
Kind of making some of the money back you spent on the book.
Right, exactly. While you're spinning it.
Yeah. So that's the general process. You'll do the developmental line edit after we're done. You'll do a copy edit, a proofread, work with the publisher. If you don't already have a book cover while it's going on, you can have a graphic designer working on that for you. And then once the publishing phase is done, then you can have your book signing and, start to get the book out there more.
Okay. So what's one tip you would give to a writer or an author that's starting to write their book? Any type of tip, if it's something that before it comes to you, what do you suggest?
I would say to be open-minded.
Okay.
A lot of authors, they, walk into the editing phase. They don't know what to expect. And oftentimes they get feedback that maybe they take offense to or they don't understand. So it's going to be really important, especially for the editing process, to, be open-minded and not be quick to anger or quick to be offended because the editor may be suggesting something that you don't like, or you don't understand it, or you're fearful of it. So it's really about realizing that the editor is there to help you enhance your book.
Right.
Essentially, that's what we're there for. One of the metaphors that I use is the editor is to the author what the trainer is to the boxer. So it doesn't always feel good. You don't always like the exercises, but at the end of the day, when you're getting in the ring with your opponent, you're going to be better for it.
Yeah.
Your reader is not your opponent, by the way. But that's the analogy that I use. So after you've worked with an editor, it's kind of like building your muscle up. You're gonna be better and stronger for it. And the next book you write, you'll have that muscle memory. Like, okay, I remember during my first book, I struggled with spelling. So this time I'll pay more attention to it. So it really just makes you a better writer. So don't be so quick to shut out the edits without understanding the reasoning behind it and how it's going to really influence your reader, because that's the end goal.
Nice, nice. So for anyone listening and watching, um, how do they know that they need someone like you? I'm sure everyone knows they need it, but some people are like, "No, I don't need it." So what is it? You're like, "Yep."
Yeah. I mean, I think most people who write know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So once you've identified what your struggles are in writing, at that point you should have enough knowledge and um, honesty to say, okay, I do this well, but I'm going to need a professional to look at the things that I don't do well.
Mm,
So it's really that simple. Just, if you're a writer that's very verbose, you use lots of words, and you know that about yourself, then you will want to work with a professional editor who can help you cut down on that.
mm,
Because if you are using extra words, you're probably going to lose your reader, which is what you don't want. So it's just a matter of being honest and being humble, about what you need help with. It's okay. None of us are perfect writers, myself included. I'm an author, I'm an editor, and I also need help. When I write books, I hire an editor.
mm.
And that's the other piece too, is you're very close to the work. So things that you think in your mind are on the page don't necessarily make it to the page. If you hand it off to an editor, they can see it with a fresh set of eyes and perspective and alert you to things that, are missing that you thought were there, or things that are there that don't need to be there. So that's a really important part, just admitting that you're not perfect and that you need some help with getting your manuscript, where it needs to be.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I say that about having a coach or a mentor or something. We're so close to our businesses and we're so like in it that sometimes we just cannot see certain things.
Yeah.
And if we have those extra set of eyes, it's good because you don't, I mean, just thinking about the times I've been in my coaching calls with my coach, the number of times I'm like, the light bulb has gone off because she's seeing things that I didn't even think about. And I'm like,
Right,
wow,
right, right.
it's making for a better Barter Black. Like,
Absolutely.
so editor's gonna make for a better book.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I'm sure you've seen a lot of books. So why is it important for people to get their stories out on pages and get those books, written and published? What makes that important?
Yeah. So as I shared, I primarily edit nonfiction, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the clients I work with are also Black authors. So they're writing about things that they have experienced in their lives or witnessed in their lives. And it proves to be very therapeutic. So, you know, when you're writing poetry about something you went through, good or bad, it can be very therapeutic. It can, you know, reduce the stress because you're sharing about whatever that trauma was, or you're sharing about whatever that joy was, instead of holding it inside. And then also, you know, that's with poetry, but like even with your memoir or your autobiography, that's also that can also be very therapeutic. But on a larger scale, specifically for Black authors, as you know, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners and, you know, yeah, those who are listening and watching know, our stories are often buried, or they're ignored, or they're whitewashed. So I love being able to close that gap and making sure that when clients who write fiction, like if they come to me and they're using a name like CaTyra instead of Catherine, I'm there to embrace that and not say, oh, that's ghetto, or nobody wants to read about a character named CaTyra. Change it to Catherine. Unfortunately, you know, I've worked with clients who've had that experience, working with white editors who don't understand the culture, don't respect the culture, don't value the culture, don't love the culture or the people who are a part of it.
Right.
So that can be very, you know, detrimental to your mental, you know, health and your emotional well-being and all of those things. So it's important that, you know, Black authors have editors like myself and other Black publishers who are there to support, you know, what the stories that they're telling, and not there to change the story, or what's the word I'm looking for? They're not trying to like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Like trying to make it more palatable, I'll say, for the larger society.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just think it's really important for Black authors to have the opportunity to be authentic with their storytelling, not be judged because they're using African American vernacular, or they're using phonics, or they're talking about, you know, issues that are in the Black community that the larger society doesn't know about or doesn't care about.
Right.
So I think this is very important for us to have professionals who are there to support our being, and not just there to, you know, chop up our manuscripts because they don't like them or because they don't understand them.
Nice. That was good. That was good. I have not even started writing a book yet. I don't know if I will. I have thought about it, but I'm just like, when you say tell your story, you know, get it on paper, and do people really want to know? And I'm just like,
They do.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
So tell us about National Black Authors Day and how we all can participate.
Yes. So I founded National Black Authors Day earlier this year or late last year. So it's going to be May 4th, 2023. This is the first year. It'll be an annual celebration, but I really wanted to cement a day for us to celebrate all that Black authors have contributed, all that we are contributing now, and all that we will contribute in the future. I wanted to solidify that day so that we could take a pause and just recognize everything that we have brought to the literary field. That we've literally, you know, built the literary field. Like without us, there is no. So again, unfortunately, that's not often taught. You know, our school systems don't want us to teach that. They don't want to admit that, et cetera, et cetera. So I really just wanted to defy the myth that, you know, we only write urban fiction, or that we only read urban fiction, or, you know, all the other, you know, stereotypes that surround, you know, Black people when it comes to literacy. And not ignoring the reason we still have statistics of being, you know, having high rates of illiteracy in the Black community. There was a lengthy time in history where we literally could be killed for learning to read and write. So that's not, you know, that's not missed on me. and that still ripples through our communities. But I wanted to have this day to, again, just commemorate all the achievements that we have made or had despite the intentional roadblocks that have been placed in our way.
Yeah.
And that we have overcome so much, that we're still overcoming, and that, you know, we should be hopeful for brighter days ahead. Even though we still, you know, have our struggles and challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I was intentional about not choosing a day in February because, as we know, Black history already crammed into those 28 days. So I wanted to pick a month where, you know, it wasn't necessarily focused on Black History Month already. So I chose May 4th, just to, again, bring the spotlight and highlight the National Black Authors Day. And to be honest, I was very surprised that it didn't already exist.
Right. I was
Now
gonna say,
now we do have a National Authors Day,
but it's not a
I
National
believe
Black
that's
Authors.
right. I believe that's in November. But again,
Okay.
I wanted to carve out a space specifically for us. So that is the story behind National Black Authors Day. And for those of you who would like to participate, there are many ways you can participate. So you can, you know, if you have social media, you can go live on social media and shout out a Black author. You can go live on social media and read an excerpt from a book by a Black author.
Mm-hmm.
You can send, you know, write a testimonial for a book by a Black author. You can host an event in your hometown or wherever you live. I'll be hosting an event here in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
an in-person event where I'll have the Rochester Black Authors Association board will be present talking about our mission and vision. I'll have some authors there to read some excerpts. I'll have some vendors. So you are welcome to plan your own events wherever you are. You can do a virtual event, you can do a read along. Really, there's no limitations on how you can celebrate. You can create a social media post. You can, I mean, the sky's really the limit.
Mm.
So however you would like to participate, I encourage you to. There is a link for you to register to let me know how you're participating.
Okay.
I can send that to you if you
Yeah,
want.
we'll put it in the notes for everyone.
Perfect, perfect. We've already got several organizations signed up. Some of them are going to be like reading an excerpt. Some of them are planning in-person events. We have people from Buffalo here in Rochester, and I'm continuing to push it out so that we can spread across the country. We have a couple months until May 4th, so I'm going to keep pushing that so that more people will be involved. So thank you, Nicole. I'll send you the link, and I encourage everyone to pledge some way to celebrate National Black Authors Day.
That is absolutely amazing. You got me over here thinking like, dang, I need to create a day. But that would be great to get schools involved too,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
it's like our children aren't, they aren't seeing or reading books that are written by us. So I'm definitely thinking about what I can do to support the authors in my community. So what I'll do is kind of put an email out there or something to see how, we can all get together and celebrate on that day, because I'm definitely in support of that. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
And I've interviewed so many people who are authors for this podcast. So I'm sure they're going to be absolutely on board to support. It's so important to tell you. And I ask everyone that says they're author, like, how important is it to tell your story? It's so important to tell your story. So tap into with CaTyra.
Yes.
So before we go, of course, we're going to get some people to shoot their shot at you for barter. So what types of things do you need in your business that you would be interested in bartering for?
Yes. So I think social media copy would be a good one. Again, I could do it myself, but that's always something I like to have another set of eyes on. So that would be great. Also, any help with like the newsletter copy as well. So those are two things that I definitely would see as helpful.
Okay. All right. So you heard it here. Copy for social media and newsletter. Definitely shoot your shot in the comments and she will be looking at them. Thank you so much, CaTyra, for joining us for this.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. You're
And
welcome.
thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and listening, wherever you are watching and listening from. Um, do everything with Black excellence in mind. I'm so proud and so happy to be hosting this. I've learned a lot and talking to people, and it's people we've connected on social media, but
Yes.
it's very few times I've had these face-to-face conversations with people, and I learned so much by doing these interviews. So I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate every guest. And we will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, with another amazing entrepreneur. So have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.